Donald Trump, a riddle and an enigma, because a lot of people say, "Oh, he's a crude, rough, tough guy, a builder, a millionaire, has a background of." From the Christian perspective, he has kind of a roughshod background. He's on the outer edge, but Christians seem to say God has brought him for this hour. I hear this all the time. What's your take on that?
It's a lot of patterns in terms of numbers. Numbers are objective; they're neutral. So there's a lot of patterns that confirm that he's the end-time president, that he's here for a reason, and that's not a comment about his morality or his past. That's up to each individual whether you want to make a judgment on that. But if I just let the numbers lead me, I just see so many patterns. One of them is the very prophetic end-time number is 58. 58 is associated with Donald Trump. It was associated with actually George Washington. It's a small clue, but he always sat in pew 58 at his church. And why is 58 important? Well, because the word Noah, the name Noah, actually spells 58. And 58 spells Noah. It's the same word because in Hebrew, letters are numbers, numbers are letters. So Jesus says, as in the days of Noah, so will it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. So what does that mean? That means we should study everything about the days of Noah and what is this clue that God is giving. And one of the things is, in the Hebrew, if you read it, it would say, as in the days of 58. And President Trump, in his first term, was inaugurated in the 58th inauguration. So it's the 58th term, even though he's the 45th president. Just one of those things that are clues. It's not something that he could have any control over. But we who are studying the Bible and understand the meaning of the word Noah, that alone tells us that there's something beyond what man sees is going on here.
So you think a little window is being opened for us to have discernment?
Yes.
And your whole book is built around observations like this.
Yes.
Anything else on that note before I want to look at the number 3, because everybody knows the biblical number 3, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, so forth and so on. But any other note on the number 2 or the number 58 for that matter?
58 is very exciting because 58 gives us a clue how soon would the second coming be, or how close we are to the end time. This one you have to look into the book of Enoch, which is extra biblical, so you're not obligated to believe it, but Jude quotes the book of Enoch. And the book of Enoch, I found a very interesting prophecy about the end time. I just want to look that up for you. Let me find it in this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's this fascinating prophecy in the first book of Enoch. So when I say Enoch, by the way, I don't mean the second or the third book of Enoch. I think they're spurious, but I think that there's some historical validity to the first book of Enoch. In chapter 90, it says this, I watched till in this manner the 35 shepherds pastured the sheep, and they each completed their period, as did the first, one after the other, each shepherd in his own period. Verse 5, I watched the next 23 shepherds pastured, but when they completed their periods, they had pastured 58 times. And when you look at the pastor is actually the word for a leader. These are the leaders of Israel. These are the rulers. And so I started doing the count. He divided 58 into 2 groups, 35 shepherds and then 23 shepherds. Well, I counted from Rehoboam, which is from the beginning of the split kingdom after Solomon. I counted from Rehoboam to Simon Bar Kokhba, and there were exactly 35 Jewish rulers. So that fulfills the first part of Enoch's prophecy of 35 shepherds. And then obviously we know that Israel's dispersed, it goes into diaspora, and then it comes back in 1948. So I was curious, well, how do you count the last 23 shepherds? Because they no longer have a king. It's not the same, dynastic rule anymore.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and there are 3 ways that you can count it. Either you count by the number of prime ministers, or Knesset sessions, or the executive governments when they form the government. Now, there have been 35 governments already, so that doesn't qualify. There have been 12 prime ministers, unlike in the United States where the president would have either 1 term or 2 or 3 consecutive terms in the past. they can come in non-consecutively. So there have been 12, and Benjamin Netanyahu is now 12. So if we're looking for another 23 prime ministers, then that's going to give a pretty long timeline. But the interesting thing is, we are in the 21st Knesset session, and we should have had the 22nd, except Benjamin Netanyahu failed to form government. So that means that they're going to go back into re-election. They give themselves 3 months, and then on September 17, there'll be a re-election because they failed to form government. That would be the 22nd Knesset. Now, how far then are we away from the ultimate end-time fulfillment of the Book of Enoch?